What's up, everyone? I'm here with LuLu Shushu, who got first place undefeated with Swordsoul Tenyi Spice. This is post Banlist, so there's no Baronne in his deck. And as you're going to see, not having Baronne doesn't matter. Swordsoul is still top deck. I'll let you take it away.
Top is a far cry. I don't know if I would recommend playing this, but we're going to go for it anyways. Pretty much standard Swordsoul build. You got your 3 Ecclesias, your 3 Longyuans. We'll go with the 3 Mo Ye and your 2 Taia. Pretty much standard setup. Oops, and your 2 Taia. Again, standard kind of Swordsoul monsters. Nothing insane. For the spells, 3 Emergence, your 1 Blackout, and then, though this is arguable, the 1 Sacred Sword Summon. It's really good as an extender, especially if you open it with Taia, and you could have that to like send Mo Ye. Extends your plays a lot further. Switching over to the Tenyi lineup, again, very standard. The 2 Adhara, the 2 Vishuda, the 3 Ashuna, the 1 Shthana, and then the 1 Mapura. The reason why, I guess you can say on this is, Shthana, obviously, it's the best kind of Tenyi to run, but Mapura, besides that now, with Protos, you can firelock everybody. Same thing when you're running Lion, you always open one in your hand, and you're like, I can't do anything. So if you open up one in your hand, at least if you have the other one in the deck, you can still search it out with Ashuna. Spell cards for the Tenyis are the 2 Vessels for the Dragon Cycle, and the 2 Heavenly Dragon Circle. Great, dodges Imperm, Veiler, and Vessel's just a great extender. Plus, if you don't have any plays, it helps you out a lot. Next would be kind of the spice, the weirdness. Obviously, you got the Protos. Obviously, once you get him back, he makes the whole deck just a lot better. I play the 1 Fire of the Yang Zing, and you'll kind of see why in a bit, with also the 2 Ringowurm. This card, insane, gets you to, when you don't have an Omni, this gets you to that Omni, and so does Suanni helps you get that to that Omni, so definitely have them. And then obviously the 2 Omni traps that you have that are counter traps, which is 9 pillars for the Danglong combo, and then for the Mannadium combo with the Ringowurm, you have the Reframing. Great cards just to draw on their own sometimes, and especially Mannadium counter trap.
So you're playing Mannadium in his deck?
Not really Mannadium, because the Mannadiums aren't really, I guess you can say, it doesn't really require a Mannadium card, as long as you can make the 6, and then you can just do the Mannadium play. I'll kind of explain it when I get to the synchros, how it kind of goes. But as soon as you have, let's say Mo Ye, real worm, and you have Ringowurm in hand, special Ringowurm, synchro 6 into the one that special summons back. Hold on. And then from, well, you'll see. You'll special the one that special back level 2, synchro 8 into Visas. He lets you search out the Mannadium counter trap, and then you'll synchro 10 into whichever one you want. Plus, you get to draw off of Mo Ye. It works even better when you have Taia and you search it off Emergence, because then Taia will dump your Ashuna, and then when you banish it, you'll get to special summon a 4, and then you'll still be able to go into Chixiao, and then from there you can keep extending.
Do you think Protos being unbanned was a good choice for the game? Not for your deck, but just for the game overall, because that's what people want to talk about. Yeah.
At this, see, because you can play around Protos, but certain decks are like, it's just now like, I hit Protos, I use Protos, I call the right thing, that's it, the game was over. So yes and no. Obviously game 1, when I'm there and I put Protos and I have no idea what the opponent's playing, I call Dark, Fire, whatever I think they're playing, and then it works out for me. But after game 2 or game 3 and I have knowledge of what they're playing, it can literally just create okay, well, let's go to game 3 because game over. So yes and no.
Do you think this deck wouldn't be as good without it? Because they took your Baronne.
I would say for this specific tournament, maybe. I don't know how the last matchup would have ran, I guess you can say. But Protos throughout the rest of the matches up, though it helped in some decks against some people, it wasn't like at any point where I was like, oh, if I didn't have Protos here, I really would have lost.
Okay. So the deck is strong enough even without it?
I don't want to say strong. I feel like Swordsoul's kind of just fair. It's one of those fair decks.
It's
Protos
fair.
Protos gives it away to be like, well, you got Protos, you called the right attribute. All right, great. Now it's not fair anymore. I don't get to play my game anymore. It's kind of just over. Hand traps, again, no Baron, so we get to go a little funnier with this. Now, I hate Ash Blossom, so just forgive the hand traps. 2 Droll, just because, you know, it's great, but a lot of people have that counter to it, or they'll put up something, like I was shifted, and I drew, every time I was shifted, I had a Droll in my hand. It made me really upset, but either way, 2 Droll does help. The 3 Nib, without Baron, they go, not many people can go and say, oh, I'm Nib proof on summon 5, and then it still hurts most decks, so Nib, and then 3 Imperms, because to me that's the best. I believe I'm running 44 cards in this deck, so I wasn't really sure what to cut, and I kind of liked having a little bit more, so I wouldn't draw all my 4s or all my trap cards and have the ability to search them off.
Yeah, and we'll have all the information in the description, so if you want to check out the card count and stuff like that, we'll have it. Okay, that was the main deck, so let's move on to the extra deck.
Extra deck, again, kind of standard. You got the 2 Chixiao, you got the 1 Longyuan, the Sovereign Sinister, 1 of Changing, the Link lineup, the 2 Monks, the 1 Shaman of the Tenyi. For the Monks, there was one time in the game where I was like, oh man, I really wish I had another one in the, I guess you can say in the deck, in the side deck, but at the same time, I played around it. Like, it wasn't like I needed another one, but there was one time where it does come up where it's like, man, maybe I wish I had a third one. But at the same time, every other card in my extra deck was used. So I was like, it's one of those kind of one dozen or the other. The 1 Draco Berserk, again, great for pushing for a game when you have their field low and then you're like, I can just kill them. Again, the Danglong with just that ability to go pop itself, use it to synchro, just get it off the field, and then search that fire so Protos can call fire is just so nice when you know you're against the Snake Eyes or any kind of matchup. So it's so nice to be like, oh, okay, well, as long as I can get Danglong out and get rid of Danglong, however, synchro him away, link him away, whatever I can do just to get rid of him, just to get that effect is really nice. Also, he counts for, you can Protos him, and he just says when he leaves the field, he gets a special summon the other one. So you can even Protos him away to call that, to call fire, to pop it. So when you need a fire and you don't want to get rid of your synchros or anything like that, it's a nice way to use Danglong. The 1 Baxia, I know a lot of people run that too, but again, because I'm running so much weird stuff, had to come down to 1. The 1 Chaofeng, again, we are lucky enough where summon 5, summon 6, we can get Nib proof without investing a lot into the board with Swordsoul. So that's always very nice. The 1 Yazi came up in a huge way. I was able to pop the guy's field spell and then just keep going from there. So it was really nice. The Mannadium cards, I guess you could say the cards are not worms or anything like that, are the 2 Mannadiums. Again, the level 6 that specials back Ringowurm, the level 8 that synchros that searches out the counter trap, and then Ice Jade. I wanted to try it because again, I needed that Baron replacement. I was like, I kind of want to try to put another 10 in there. Honestly, I was debating this one or what is the Ruddy Rose?
Ruddy Rose Dragon?
Yeah, Ruddy Rose Dragon, just to banish the grave. So I ended up deciding on this because again, if I don't open up any of those counter traps, I don't open up any kind of explosive play, and they already know when I'm playing, and we're in game 2, they might side those lightning storms, those whatever, those field pops, those banishes, and this protects them from being destroyed and banished. So I was like, yeah, it's a good option for me. And that's pretty much it for the synchros in this side.
For the Link 1, Tenyi, you said you wanted to run 3. Was that like in a grind game, or was it like what state were you in that you wanted a third one?
I believe what happened, if I'm remembering right, turn 1 I linked 1, I go, I activate Vessel because my hand wasn't the best. He ashed it. I was like, okay. So okay, hold on. Starting. So first thing I did, linked Ashuna into Monk of the Tenyi. As soon as I did that, he was like, on summon a monk, DD crowed my Ashuna, and I was like, okay. But I had the one where it's like send 1 worm to the grave, add a worm to my hand. Mm-hmm. Activate that, ash. I was like, okay, no worries. Pretty much didn't have anything else. I had like Imperm Nib in my hand. Set it. Okay, we're fine. Next round he goes, again, Impermanence. He honestly couldn't do anything. He had so many hand traps. Next round I draw, activate the effect of the guy. I believe I drew Vishuda. Again, still had Monk on the field. Special Vishuda. Oh no, I didn't special Vishuda. I waited, I couldn't do anything with just Vishuda in my hand, and that link went, attacked him for 1,000, passed. He destroyed that. So I guess you can say it was a crafting game, but it was more like, okay, well then I finally drew, I guess you can say, the out. And then so I finally drew another monster. It was like a Taia. I go, link Vishuda off. Was like, okay, trying to get more monsters in the grave and stuff like that. It was against Exosisters. And he kept banishing all my Tenyis. And I was like, so if I finally, when I was like, okay, other monk, he was like, banish the other monk. And then the next turn it was like Ashuna, and I was like, I somehow still won that game, but it was just like very like, oh man, I was like, the whole time I was like, I could have made that play one turn earlier if I had the other monk.
Yeah, so okay. So it wasn't like your thing got banished because of unicorn and you needed
no. It was just like we got kind of into that grind, and he just kept stopping me from doing what I wanted to do, and I couldn't invest without another monk.
Okay, yeah, because people are still scared of unicorn, so I was wondering was it because of that matchup, but it wasn't.
No, I didn't face
fighting Kashtira. You didn't fight me, so.
No.
Okay, and then now for the side deck.
Side deck, I guess you can say kind of standard with Swordsoul and some cards. The shifters, though Swordsoul doesn't like playing on it. It hurts our follow-up. It hurts our like more of our grind. It's very nice to just be able to be like, you know what, I'm playing this deck. It can't function at all during shifter, and I can at least pull up a monster negate and like a blackout. So at least like that. Shifter, very clutch. Never once used it. Never one deck that I played against that I was like, oh, I need the shifter, but I sided in, and when I did, I never saw it. So 3 spellbound. I love this card, especially against Snake Eyes. Especially against decks that you know really well, and you're like, okay, well after the 3rd or 4th summon, this is what they're gonna do next. And if you know that, you're like, okay, spellbound, they're not doing any of that anymore.
And that's going first?
Yeah, it's going first.
Okay.
All these could be going, well, this one could be going first or second, so can this one. Again, this one matchup dependent. This one, again, if you have no idea what the deck does, I wouldn't even maybe consider it. Mm-hmm. At the same time though, even if you're playing like the new Tenpai cards and stuff like that, they attack, they special summon the other dragon, activate this, maybe not that bad. When they quick effect or something, you're like, okay, well, quick effect spellbound. Same thing when they like IP on your turn and you're like, you have IP and then you have that in your hand. It's not really bad even going second, but it's always nice to have the option there. 3 Veilers. Just, again, I run a lot of weird cards, like a whole bunch of random spice, I guess you can say, trap cards, counter traps, and all that. I have a lot to take out. I have a lot that I can side out, so 3 of X.
First or second?
Doesn't matter. Again, sometimes if I'm first and I'm like, I feel like, oh, you know what, I'm playing, what was I playing? I was playing against Traptrix, and I was like, oh, Traptrix doesn't really go that crazy, and I was going first. I was like, I'll take out them for this, or I was like, I'll take out that for some of my other side cards, but I was like, I can also put in the effect veilers. So the one Ash, the best card, the one that it saved me against so much evenly. I'm definitely putting up the 3. I'll just take out the Ash for it. I don't miss Ash ever. The Feather Duster, Synchro Zone, which again, just for that, it should be at 3, but I just don't have room. I kind of like all the other cards more, but the Synchro Zone is very nice. And then the, just dependent on matchup, 100% the dark version of the Qixing. If I know that I'm going against a very dark heavy deck and I for some reason know I'm not gonna be able to Protos them, maybe they banish a lot or whatever, I'll try to Chow Fang and dark block them.
And as always, let's do like a retro of like how your matchups went. So round one was against?
Round 1 was against Traptrix. Sat down, had no idea what the guy was playing. First thing he does, I go standby. I go draw face. He was like shifter. I was like, okay, fair enough. But even like that, I was still again able to pull out Chixiao and I think I pulled out Ice Jade because I was like, I have no idea what this guy's playing. Pass it to him with like no cards in hand, no cards in grave, and then I was like, okay. And then I see what he was running, and I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't really expecting that. And then he goes, before I even get to see running, he goes battle phase, and he even leads me turn 1. So he's playing against go second, Traptrix, and I was like, oh wow. And so it kind of caught me off guard, but Traptrix, I guess it couldn't compete after I knew what he was playing, especially Actually, I ended up losing that one, and then I just won round 2 and 3. I went first. I was like, okay, now I know exactly what to do. I set up a crazy board the second game, whatever. Game 3, I was like, okay, I sided in a whole bunch. Didn't really draw much of my things, but Effect Veiler, he goes, he links, he tries to activate a trap. I was like, okay, I Effect Veilered. He was like, he couldn't get the trap card. He special summoned the monster, but he couldn't get the effect for special summoning a monster. So he just had a monster, a trap card, and the field spell. Lucky enough, drew Harpies, and then it was just over from there. And I was like, yeah, he wasn't slowing me down.
Round 2?
Yeah, game 2 was against Exo Sisters. He won the die roll. He went first. I guess he kind of like half bricked. He plays Exo Sisters very weird. So he summoned 2 Exo Sister monsters, and instead of trying to go the whole Exo Sisters play, he kind of just set cards and passed. And I was like, okay, assuming those were the traps and everything like that. And it was like, I was like terrified for a second, and then he just didn't really do much, and I just kind of killed him. Game 2, he goes first again. I guess he bricked. He didn't do anything, and then I was like, and that was the game where I was telling you about, where I was like, I wish I had that other monk, because every time I activated something, he was like, Ash, Ogre, Imperm, Crow, and I was like, oh my god, it could do nothing. And then like it was just like, okay, whoever can, after all that interruptions, it was just like, okay, whoever can draw the first monster. He eventually summoned a monster, but just hitting for like 800 wasn't going to be able to do enough. And then eventually I just drew a monster that was able to do the plays. If I had that other monk, plays would have happened earlier. So.
Round 3?
Round 3 was a Swordsoul matchup. We were both undefeated at the time. We were like right next to each other in the game before. We looked at each other. He was like, "Are you the only undefeated?" I was like, "Yup." And we were like, "Okay, Swordsoul mirror match." Round 1, I opened up crazy. I had Danglong, the Mannadium counter trap, a rank 10, and Chixiao. I want to say it was Sinister. He was playing through, and then as soon as I hit that, I flipped that Mannadium counter trap. He looked at me and he was like, what? Like, we could tell like instantly as soon as I did that, he's had the Danglong. Well, first when I summoned the Danglong, he looked at me like I was insane, and then when I flipped over that Mannadium counter trap, he looked at me with like a glare in his eyes, and I was like, yeah, I did that to the poor guy. So I understood. Game 2, he set up an insane board. To be honest with you, I had no rights to win that. He set up Chaofeng, which light locked me. Couldn't go into light monster, or couldn't use light effects. He set up Protos, called Water, so I couldn't special summon any water monsters, so no water tokens, so no Swordsoul monsters. And then he had Chixiao, and he had Changying. So I was like, okay. In my hand, I know, and he passed with that, no face sounds. Looking at my hand, I had Evenly in there, and I was like, Evenly is about to go crazy. Draw for turn, Imperm. So I shut down his whole board with Evenly Imperm. And then from there, it was just, I was able, even still like that under Protos and everything, I was able to pull out Danglong because I had special summon, well, I first special summoned Vishuda, linked into Vishuda to 1 for Monk. Vishuda banished, get rid of his thing. I was worried about how to get rid of it, got rid of it right there. Linked into special summon Adhara, normal summon Taia, obviously couldn't do anything there. Synchroed 8 into Danglong. Danglong searched the counter trap, and then Danglong effect Ascend, and then from there, and then Mo Ye's effect Ascend, and from there I was able to pull up at least like a Monster Negate and an Omni Negate, Monster Negate, and then I was able to get Protos out because I had Emergence in hand, I think was my last card. Emergence, Protos, I knew he had Vishuda in his hand from the turn prior. He drew Adhara, just negated Adhara right away, and he was just like, yeah, you got it.
And then round 4.
Round 4, I won the dice roll. I was like, yay, let's go. Second dice roll winning in a row. We, what was it first? Oh, I had no idea what the guy was playing. I know I saw him from like afar playing, but I was like, I didn't really pay attention. No idea what he was playing. Do the whole combo, kind of Danglong, even though he impermed Danglong, so I didn't get the counter trap. Well, we'll see how this goes. I still pulled up the 10, the 8, and Protos. Protos, I was like, oh, do I call him the fire? Because I had the fire 10 on the board, but I was like, if it's not fire, I'm gonna regret calling fire. So I was like, Protos call dark. We'll see how it goes. He draws, looks at his hand, shuffles it a couple times, looks at me, and he goes, all right, let's go game 2. I was like, oh, okay. Game 2 goes, still have no idea what he's playing, so I side in Shift, I side in a whole bunch of stuff ready for God knows what. He looks at his hand, looks me straight in the eye, and goes, like, leaves like the biggest, deepest sigh, sets 3 or 4 face down. And I'm like, oh God, what is this guy playing? I start going into my Sword Soul combo. He activates, what's like a Daruma Cannon? The one that sets all your cards face down?
Yes.
He activates that mid of my combo, completely stops me, and I'm like, okay, it's Labyrinth. He just opened up like a whole bunch of interruption traps, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. Pass back to him. He goes, he starts, he draws again, looks at his card, instantly goes, your turn again. I was like, oh, it couldn't have been that bad. He had like 1 or 2 cards face down, bounced them, got rid of them, Baxia, Vishuda of Mo Ye, flipped everything, hit him for like 8,000 direct. He goes, he shows me his face downs and everything. He wasn't playing, he was playing Raid Raptor, so when I called Dark the first time, it completely shut him down. But he looks at he shows me his hand, he drew, his opening hand was 2 crossouts, Daruma Cannon, it was like, oh my God, it was just 5 cards of just like all interruption. He had like 100% interruption in his hand.
Probably imperm, right? He set down, face down.
No, he didn't have imperm because he would have impermed me. So that's why it was like, quite literally, it was like 3 crossouts, Daruma Cannon, and then he just held 1 card in his hand. So, and I don't remember what it was, but I guess it was some card, and he couldn't do anything. He was just like, yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really bad. But again, good for me, but I was like, eh. And that's why I was talking about Protos, where it's like, it sometimes creates a thing where it's like, round 1, maybe he could have broken my board, but once Protos called Dark, it was just like, okay, he couldn't do anything anymore.
So once again, shout out to LuLu for coming on the channel. Again, he went undefeated. Swordsoul, this is post-ban list, so obviously he's Protos, no Baron. And, you know, this deck, like you said, he's pretty fair. Some people argue it's unfair because of Protos, but, you know, this deck still works. It's still a meta contender, in my opinion, although some people might not say that. Did you have fun at least playing it?
It was fun. It was fun. A lot of people's comments were like, man, Swordsoul in 2024 or whatever. And I was like, yeah. But again, I think at the end of it, first and second were both Swordsoul players.
Yeah. First place with him. Second was Swordsoul. I think third might have been Raid Raptor. Yeah.
And then fourth was...
I don't even know what was fourth.
Something weird.
Yeah.
Something weird.
But yeah, thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a like and comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future.